everyone and welcome to Zach's Garage. Today we're going to have an in-depth look into our Koenigsegg Regera. So let's get to it. Now let's start from the front and work our way back. Now the first thing you're going to see, the bright gold Koenigsegg emblem, which underneath there's a forward-facing camera. Then you'll see the Ghost package, which is an option for Koenigsegg, which gives you front fins, rear fins, different tyres and a different suspension setup, which gives you more downforce. It also gives it such an aggressive look. Now on these canards, there are a lot of gold. And I love that because it flows into the lines of the car. Talking of lines of the car, let's talk about how it highlights. Now from the front bonnet, you can see the two lines going across the bonnet. But what you don't see is from the top, it goes all the way around the car. Something that gives it the true egg shape. And above that, you see the halo on top of the windscreen. That is an option which just looks brilliant because when you've got the roof on, it adds two more lines. When it's off, it doesn't subtract anything from the car. And because the roofs come off, it's quite nice to be able to have almost two different cars when it comes to the spec of it. On top of the halo line, you've got the really beautiful brushed gold that goes into the air intake. But we'll get to that when we get to the back of the car. Now, as you can see on the front of it, it also has the gold lines going across the front splitter and the air intakes. So now we've gone over the front, let's go to the side where what might be the most controversial part of the car, and I want you to tell me what you think. So the most controversial part then, it had to be the wheels. Some people love them, some people hate them, but the most important thing is, well, we love them. We think it looks brilliant, and yes, some people are surprised the fact that we didn't go for the carbon fibre wheels, especially as we've gone for the full carbon bonnet, but we wanted something different. And how about something that Koenigsegg, well, have never done? Full gold wheels? Sounds like a good idea to me. Then it's got the gold lines going down the side and along the splitter, and you can see it go all the way down the top of the car. And when the doors open, it breaks the line, but still makes the car look incredibly elegant. And the one line that you won't see is actually on the back by the Ghost package fins. Now to find all of the features in the rear of the car, I think it's probably best that we have the wing down. So how about this? Isn't that pretty smart? So, let's talk about the rear of the car. You've got the Regera wording in, as mentioned just now, the bronze, not the bright gold. You've got the Ghost package, which still looks absolutely fantastic with the wing down. And then you've got one of my favourite parts, the golden Ghost Squadron Ghost logo. I think it looks stunning in contrast with the blue and the gold. So at the back you can see that the gold lines just finish off on the Ghost package rear fins, but you've also got a little bit of gold wording on the word Koenigsegg, and the rear exhaust outlet for the high voltage battery is very lightly gold. We didn't want this too bright because the amount of heat going through it, we were a little bit concerned the fact that, well, maybe it might change colour over time, especially as the amount of heat that goes in it. But over a certain speed, you can press a button and that will drop. That is so that, well, if you go through speed cameras, you don't get caught. No, obviously I'm joking. That is for the high voltage battery. That's where you plug it in, but very James Bondy, which I do quite like. So as we're at the back, I think it's about time we opened it up and showed you the hybrid drivetrain. So without further ado, the engine. The combustion engine produces 1100 brake horsepower. That's right, 1100 brake horsepower, but it doesn't end there. The electric battery produces 700 brake horsepower, and that means to the wheels you're getting over 1500 brake horsepower. That is a crazy figure. But what's even crazier than that? The torque, 1250 Newton meters of torque. Well, to put that in perspective, I would have thought a normal mini sort of road going car has about 250 Newton meters of torque overall. Well, put another 1000 Newton meters, you've got something that's going to feel like a roller coaster and drive like a spaceship. So pretty crazy stuff. Now in the engine bay you can see 1.11, that stands for 1.1 megawatt of power. That's over 1,000 horsepower. You can have that little plaque that says 1 megawatt of power. Koenigsegg have stuck with the triplex suspension and dampers, but they've also adapted their suspension, which now means that it's fully adjustable electronically depending on which mode you're in, whether that be wet, track or normal. Now instead of hearing me ramble on, why don't we just head to some B-roll so you can see some of the best exterior features on our Koenigsegg Regera. So without further ado, the Koenigsegg Regera. Now the interior of a Regera is something that's very important because unlike the previous ones where they've updated the interiors, there's a lot you can do with it, and that meant there was a lot I wanted to do with it. Grab points are where you most commonly touch the car, meaning the centre console, the handles and the steering wheel. So on top and bottom you've got exposed carbon, on the sides you've got the blue Alcantara with the gold stitching, and on the very bottom you just have the word Koenigsegg in gold. Quite smart. The centre console, brushed aluminium with the darkened chrome, because I didn't want it too shiny. Also means the buttons are a little bit brighter when you switch everything on. The handle is finished in gold and carbon fibre. Now admittedly, you don't use the handle very often, simply because you've got a button on the centre console that does it for you, but it's still nice to know it's there. Now something I noticed when the car was first released in Geneva was the air conditioning knobs. They had the Koenigsegg logo on. Now I didn't want the whole air conditioning vent to be in gold, but I did want the tips of gold to be. Now this was something that Koenigsegg struggled with, but they got it done and it looks brilliant. Other bits of gold include the word Regera on the passenger seat and the gold stitching around the wireless charging area. But what is pretty amazing is the fact that you've got a speedometer that goes all the way up to 280 miles an hour. Now obviously the car only goes to 250, but it's pretty cool to be able to see a number that big on anything bar a plane. So the center console is where you control your music, the car setup and other bits. So the first thing you're greeted by is the Koenigsegg itself. When you open certain parts of the car, the picture changes. I think that's quite cool. If we go over to performance, you can see that it goes wet, snow, which is self-explanatory if you're driving in heavy rain or snow, normal or racetrack. Now what these do is they obviously adjust the ride height. Racetrack drops it significantly, but you should only use it on the track simply because it does drop it so much. It is crazy. Now the nice thing is traction control and electronic stability are independent from the mode. So if you're confident in the car, you can switch traction control off and you can switch ESC off, but it's nice to be able to keep it on whilst you're on a track. After all, it's a lot of money, you wouldn't want to crash it. If we go over to setup, you can see the lighting. You can see the interior lighting, you can change from footwell, center, top, back, and all, and if you press all, press white, you can then change the colors all the way through the rainbow. Now it has certain lights, whether that be on the start stop button, in the cup holders, by the footwell, or behind you on the little O light. Well, it's not called no light, but that's what I'm calling it. So that is the performance and setup mode. If we go over to controls, you can see the lights. Now obviously it's a modern car, it's got auto lights, something that's very helpful, means you don't have to faff around with changing lights as you're driving. You've also got rear wing always up. If you press no, when the car switches off, the wing will go down. When you're driving, it will stay down until 70 miles an hour, where the wing will pop up. rear wing in low drag mode, if you're doing a high speed run like VMAX, we'll be doing that soon, you can press yes, which means, well, it's self-explanatory. It's low drag. Underneath it, charge port, open, close. If you park up and you don't want to use your key, you can open it and you can plug it in from the rear. If we go over to media, you can see that it's got Apple CarPlay, it's got the music and also telephone. Now we haven't experienced the telephone yet, but I have experienced the sound system and it's very good. So there you have it. There is an in-detailed look into our Koenigsegg Regera. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. The car is going to be big on this channel, so make sure you subscribe, make sure you check out the other videos, and look forward to seeing you next week with another car that's blue but totally opposite to this. Look at me, I'm turning into Shmi. I'll see you soon guys. Cheers.